The fall of 2000. The Catalans missed out on all possible trophies and their best player had just signed for their biggest rival. It was the exact time a 13-year-old boy came for a trial. Peers laughed at him because of his height and thought the kid was mute at first. At 5 minutes into the training session, a young lad shut them up. During the next 20 years, he will make Barcelona one of the most valuable clubs in the world and bring a total of 35 trophies, including several Champions League titles. He may have come from 10,000 miles away, but Leo Messi is the legend of Catalonia and the symbol of Barca's golden age. At the same time, he is the reason for the club's current crisis and heavy debts. The Argentine influenced transfers, had a say in choosing managers, and was involved in altercations with other players. Some journalists stated Leo was a true devil inside. Today, I will tell you how Messi made Barca great and later destroyed the club, how he took the team out of a crisis but led to a new one. Ultimately, we'll find out whether Leo is a savior or a slayer. Messi at Barcelona, the rise. Barcelona isn't just about Leo. The club was glorious even before he came, for example during the Johan Cruyff era. The Dutchman arrived in 1973 and was already a global star. 1 Ballon d'Or and 3 successive European Cups with Ajax by the age of 26. The fact that Cruyff turned down an offer from Los Blancos made the move way more valuable. He helped the club win La Liga for the first time since 1960, and on their way to the trophy, they defeated their fiercest rivals Real Madrid 5-0 at Santiago Bernabeu. The Catalans also reached new heights when Cruyff was the manager. The Dutchman was the face of total football and built the dream team in Spain. He led Barca 4 times to gold medals in the league and won the first European Cup in the club's history. In the late 90s, the Catalans continued to win trophies, but it was more of an exception. Josep Nunes, whose reign saw Barca with 30 titles in 22 years, resigned from the presidential spot in 2000. Barcelona fans prefer not to remember the next boss, Joan Gaspart. With him in charge, the team underwent a crisis and failed to win a single cup in 3 years. The only good news was the imminent dawn of Messi, though apart from a couple of La Masia coaches, no one knew that. The young lad quickly progressed through the academy ranks and age 16 debuted at the senior level. At 17, he played his first game in the Champions League and became the youngest player to ever score for the Catalans in La Liga. The goal came with a great assist from another legend, Ronaldinho. The Brazilian took the kid under his wing and confessed, "Messi will be better than me." Ronnie turned out to be correct, though for it to happen, he had to leave the club. The Wizard was sold by Barcelona after Pep Guardiola was appointed head coach in 2008. Leo took his number 10 jersey and became the symbol of the team. Barca's golden age, Leo and Pep. It may sound weird now, but Guardiola's appointment was a huge risk, mainly because his only prior coaching experience was at the Barcelona B team. Besides, in the first 2 league games, the Catalans only got 1 point. Yet, following the draw against Racing, Cruyff wrote a letter to Pep and stated, "The game was unlike anything I have seen at Camp Nou in a long time." And modest and quiet Iniesta came up to the boss and said, "Don't worry, mister, we'll win it all." It's unclear what Pep did, but Barca won 9 out of their 9 next games and started making history. The coach instilled a new style, which was quickly labeled as tiki-taka, even though Guardiola hated this word, introduced the 6-second rule, and changed the role of Messi. On the record, Leo played as a right winger. Under Pep, the tendency continued, yet Guardiola believed the biggest risk is not taking any risk, so he decided to try Messi as a false 9 in the next El Clasico. Barca won 6-2. Messi scored and assisted once. Madrid was so devastated that they lost their next 4 games and came in second in the league after the Catalans. The coach used the same trick with Leo's shuffle in the Champions League final against United, and it helped to win another title. As a result, Messi had the most prolific season since the start of his career and won the Ballon d'Or. Pep got a recognition and was nicknamed the Steve Jobs of football for his attempts to revolutionize the game. Yet, a problem emerged the very next year. Zlatan Ibrahimovic became Barca's player in June 2009. He took the forward position, so Leo had to get back to the right wing. The Swede scored in the first 5 games, and by Christmas was the best in this regard in the entire league. Messi wouldn't let it slide and set the ultimatum. He either plays in the middle or does not play at all. Pep sacrificed Ibrahimovic and put Messi behind the striker so that all attacks go through the Argentine. It was a win for Leo, but Zlatan was left frustrated. The Swede freaked out and later said Guardiola had no balls and compared himself to a Ferrari that people drive like a Fiat. As a result, at the end of the season, Zlatan was sent on loan to Milan and later sold at a great discount, while Messi remained the main star of the team and solidified his superstar status. The next year, Leo scored 53 goals in all tournaments and brought another Champions League title. But the achievements in the 11-12 season would stay in our mind for years to come. Scored and assisted once in the 2011 UEFA Super Cup, got a brace and the Best Player of the Tournament award in the final of the Club World Cup, scored 3 and assisted twice in the 2-match clash for the Spanish Super Cup against Real Madrid, became the top goal scorer in La Liga, surpassing Cristiano Ronaldo, and finally, in 2012, Messi had a tally of 91 goals in 69 games, which still remains an unbeaten record to this day. Such progress was possible thanks to the freedom Leo had. Guardiola let him stay higher up and not press anymore, which helped Messi excel in all attacking aspects and win 4 Ballon d'Ors. But Pep helped the Argentine off the pitch as well. First, the Catalan allowed his young prospect to depart their preseason training and join the national team for the 2008 Olympic Games in Beijing, which the Argentines won. Then, he frequently looked after Leo's health. The player had a weakness for fast food, which caused him to miss many games under Rijkaard. But despite Guardiola's care and attitude and even the sale of unwanted players, Messi could still get grouchy. Messi reportedly once asked for a can of Pepsi before the game. When the coach said no, he stood up, grabbed it, and drank it in front of the players, was training with a teaspoon in the mouth as a sign of protest. After he got benched for a game, he refused to speak to Guardiola for days, though the coach just wanted to give Leo some rest. In the end, after 4 years at Barca, Pep finally left the club. The knowledge believed Guardiola did it because the players were no longer responding to him, and The Athletic reported it was getting harder for Messi and the coach to work together. In 2015, Leo will talk about his relationship with Guardiola, but noted that the two had not spoken regularly since 2012. However, 11 years later, he would say the complete opposite. In his last match with the Catalans, Guardiola whispered in Messi's ear, "Thanks for everything." But the Argentine failed to turn out for Pep's forever, citing strong emotions and a desire to stay away from the press. Make of it what you will. Messi without Guardiola. Under Tito Villanova, Leo kept making history, broke Gerd Muller's record for goals in a calendar year, scored in 21 consecutive La Liga games, helped the team close out their first half of the domestic competition with 55 out of 57 possible points, but the next seasons were rather debatable. Under Gerardo Martino, Messi became Barca's all-time top scorer, though he was suffering a lot from injuries, lost the Ballon d'Or to Cristiano, and had the least prolific year since 07-08. He then argued with Luis Enrique and once missed an open training session, which the club said was due to a tummy bug. The coach didn't let it slide and reportedly asked the club to formally punish the star, but instead received an ultimatum. You either win the next 2 fixtures or are out of the club, although Enrique denied it. What's funny is that after the incident, the atmosphere in the team became way better. The trio of Messi, Suarez, and Neymar went on to score 122 goals in all tournaments and win the treble. The next campaign, the same story. New records and titles, and more than 100 goals again. Yet during Ernesto Valverde's and Quique Setien's time, despite several trophies, Barca was mostly remembered for failed transfers and disgraceful performances in the Champions League. It all had an impact on Messi. Under Pep, Leo was occasionally unhappy, but now he seemed to be miserable all the time. Eric Abidal claimed many players were not satisfied or working a lot under Valverde, so the Argentine publicly challenged the sporting director to give names. The infamous club president, Josep Maria Bartomeu, went further in angering with Leo and funded a smear campaign. He hired an army of Twitter bots that posted positive stuff about him and negative comments about Barca stars. Eventually, Leo was so fed up that he requested a transfer move, but was rejected. Despite staying in Spain, Messi also hinted he was no longer happy. Yet at the same time, he constantly renewed contracts with the pay rise and crazy bonuses. Leo continued to score and set new records until he left in 2021 in tears due to the club's financial problems. Despite being the first team to surpass the $1 billion mark in revenue, the club's debts were at an all-time high with 1.3 billion euros. Due to the pandemic, Barcelona lost a significant portion of its earnings from ticket sales and performed poorly in the Champions League, which negatively affected the budget. But the main reason for the financial crisis was the catastrophic work of their ex-president Bartomeu, resulting in a bunch of disastrous and crazy expensive transfers. The club's costs kept rising off the back of overpayments. The players realized the president was throwing money here and there and didn't hesitate to increase the payroll. Leo Messi was among the first ones to notice it, resigned the contract one more time, which ultimately would lead to a series of problems. How Messi destroyed Barcelona. The club knew the Argentine was the best and created perfect conditions for him, turning a blind eye to his many whims. Under Enrique, Messi was set around 2 times less than everyone. Under Valverde, he pointed out players who needed to be sold, and Alexander Happ, the former Barca midfielder, recalled the coaches did not even raise their voices to Leo during training. It is believed that the Catalans appointed coaches without absolute authority so that they would not even try to argue with the main star. Sport journalist Simon Cooper wrote that Leo had an unspoken veto on staff decisions and secretly controlled the club's policy, and these are not just guesses but conclusions drawn from dozens of conversations with club's officials. That was also confirmed by articles in the Spanish press. For example, during the Valverde period, there was a clique of Messi, Piqué and Suarez who maintained a low intensity in training and pressed for more days off. Their opposition was the likes of De Jong, Ter Stegen and Griezmann, who were unhappy with the low workloads. Antoine's former agent added fuel to the fire. It's a reign of terror. You're either with Messi or against him, though the Frenchman denied these words. Now, about the money. It was thanks to Messi that Barca had many lucrative sponsor deals. The largest of them, Rakuten for 55 million and Biko for 57, came primarily for Leo's fame and not for the beautiful shirt or the club's history. Besides, Barca also made a solid profit on jersey sales. According to Laporta, 8 out of 10 shirts sold had the name of the Argentine. Leo himself also raked in a ton of money. During his time in Catalonia, Messi became the highest paid footballer in Europe, and that's excluding personal sponsorship deals. We've briefly talked about regular contract extensions before, but let's dive a little deeper. It all started back in 2000. Messi dazzled coaches at La Masia Academy, but wasn't offered a deal straight away, so his father organized another trial with the famous River Plate to put the squeeze on Barcelona. When the two sides reached an agreement, Jorge Messi pressed just one more time and requested a place where the family could all go and live together. But that was not it. Leo's father made the club pay for hormone treatment and asked for some cash on top. In 2001, 12 months into his deal, a Barca general manager fumed at the extortionate amount a young team who wasn't even close to the first team action was getting. An upset Jorge contacted Real Madrid to see if Los Blancos would be interested in taking his son on instead. As a result, on December 5th of the same year, Messi signed a new deal which was even more lucrative. Leo's circle quickly realized that they had to be persistent and the club would do anything you desire. During his period at Barca, Messi resigned a contract 8 times. Just look at how drastically his pay and release clause changed over the years. The last deal was the most profitable one. From 2017 to 2021, Leo reportedly earned more than €500 million. Some journalists found an explanation behind it. In 2017, Messi and his father were taken to court for tax fraud. Leo confessed he didn't know a thing, but the judge rejected the argument. Initially, Messi and his father were each sentenced to 21 months in prison, though the form of punishment was changed to a fine. Later, Leo made a brilliant move. Together with his father, he blamed the Catalans for not paying taxes and simply included the required amount in the new contract. Genius businessman. Messi put himself above the club. He felt that the fans would never accept the departure of the legend, and if Barca let him go, the president would immediately get tons of hatred and be forced to leave. Perhaps that could be the reason why Bartomeu was following the lead of the Argentine. Josep realized while Leo was still in top form and kept winning trophies, he had to use anything at his disposal to keep the star. Messi's circle clearly understood it and pressed the president even more. Now, compare the salaries of Messi and Ronaldo at Real Madrid. Perez, at a certain point, was able to lower Cristiano's needs, showed that the club was bigger than a single player, did not increase the pay, and later even sold the star for a profit. There was no way Bartomeu could do this. The major reason was that Messi was the academy's talent and the club's symbol. With that status, the Argentine had more authority, which Leo used perfectly. Despite the headlines like the pharaonic contract and destruction of Barca, other magazines indicated that since the signing of the new agreement, Messi brought the club €620 million by different streams and received 383. That is, the club's net income amounted to 235 million or 30% of the club's profit. Even La Liga president Javier Tebas spoke out in defense of the Argentine. He stated that the financial crisis of Barca arose due to the pandemic and the accusations against Leo were unfair. Okay, we can't believe it is true, but the time passed and El Mundo came out with the following information. A month after the signing of the biggest deal in football history, Leo's gang in Barca's dressing room also decided to bled the club dry by pushing for better contract terms. As a result, the salaries of the veterans such as Piqué, Alba and Suarez and others were several times higher than the salaries of older players at Real Madrid. What's funny was that Samuel Umtiti became the second highest paid in the team, despite playing very little in the 18-19 season. It's rumored even Braithwaite gave the club an ultimatum and asked for a raise. Barca's core man played worse and worse every year, and it was no longer possible to sell them due to old age and overwhelming wages. It also became complicated to sign new ones and stay within the financial fair play rules. So the newly elected Laporta, who actually promised to keep Messi no matter what, had to get rid of everyone to keep the club afloat, which was easier said than done. The president was forced to pull economic levers by selling the TV rights and other assets to help spread out debt repayments. That is, to lose income for years to come to remain competitive now. And even with all this leverage, the Catalans still have debts to other clubs. For example, 62 million to Leeds for Rafinha and ex-players. They will pay Messi until 2025, the money he earned during the pandemic but kindly agreed to defer. A noble gesture for his native club, but the fact is that Barca owe other players too. For example, 38 million to Jordi Alba or 52 to Piqué. According to Fabrizio Romano, both players have forgiven a significant amount of money to help the Catalans with their financial fair play, but Messi has not. It's nothing personal, just business. And let's top it all off with the Argentine's departure. In an interview, Laporta said, "I hope Messi would do a U-turn and he would say he will play for free. La Liga would have accepted it, but we cannot ask a player of Messi's stature to do this." On the other hand, the Argentine confirmed that he agreed to a 50% reduction in salary and would have been ready to lower the amount even further. And Javier Tebas stated Barcelona could have kept Messi if they had not signed Sergio Aguero and Memphis Depay. Everything seems murky. It looks like Leo could have stayed at his home club if he just wanted to. Ending. So Messi made Barcelona the best team of the first decade of the 21st century, helped to win dozens of trophies, and increase the fan base around the world. At the same time, the Argentine often put himself above the club and constantly pressed for more and more money from the bosses. Did Leo's family blackmail Barca? Of course, as do all footballers and their agents. But given how much the Catalans made on Messi, his contract was a much smaller problem than the inflated salaries of the players who followed the Argentine's example. He was acting childish, and largely because of his behavior, big coaches did not come to Barcelona, and the last great one, most likely, left precisely because of Leo. Sure, he didn't want to harm his beloved club, but it turned out that way. Because when you have almost unlimited power in the team for several years, you don't tolerate objections, whether they be from a coach like Guardiola or the president. Yes, the current state of Barca is largely the result of mismanagement, weird transfers and inflated salaries. But as we have seen, Messi is also one to blame here. Now the Catalans have huge expenses and are trying to make money on absolutely everything, from organizing weddings and Camp Nou to letting amateur teams play there for money. Will the club get through the crisis? Who is the one to blame? And finally, who is Messi for the club? Savior or destroyer? Let me know down below. I'll see you in the next one. Know the ball.